I watch a mechanic on YouTube who, when he wants to say something to his viewers, especially if it's bad news for him, he often says something like, "Welcome to Derek's non-fictional story time." And then he goes ahead and tells you what's going on. I was reminded of that this week because when you come to church on Sunday, it is going to be Tim's non-fictional story time. I love telling stories. I think stories are the best way to teach things these days. In fact, storytelling is probably the best way to teach anything at any time. If you look back to our ancestors, if you look at Jesus himself, he taught in parables all the time because stories connect with people. Sometimes I tell you stories about things I've read in the paper or articles I've seen or things I've heard on the news, but this week I want to tell you a story about a man in the Bible that we often overlook. The man's name is John, and to designate him from lots of other Johns, we call him John the Baptist. John the Baptist appears at the start of each of the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But we often skip over him in our rush to get to Jesus. John was the forerunner of Jesus, and he had a message to share, and that message was really important. And it was really important to the people of his day. It's still important to us. But when Jesus came along, he added one key part to that message. This Sunday, we are going to talk about John. We're going to tell his story. We're going to tell what he preached. And then we're going to tell how Jesus's preaching was just slightly different, but that slight difference is huge and immense. I think sometimes we forget the Jesus part of the message and we only preach kind of the John part, and that causes us trouble. We're going to remember what Jesus added that John didn't have. The sermon is called Keeping the Good in the Good News. It's going to be encouraging. It's going to be helpful to you, especially if you're looking to change your life. After last week's sermon and us talking about needing to make changes, if you need to make some changes, this sermon will help you, it'll encourage you, and it'll point you in the right direction. Keeping the good in the good news. In our Bible study at 10 o'clock, we are now in 2 Kings chapter 12. As I ended class last week, I told you 2 Kings chapter 12 is one of my favorite chapters. Actually, it isn't. I got stories confused because of different names. 2 Kings chapter 12 is a decent story at the start. If 2 Kings chapter 12 only went halfway through the chapter, it would be a good story. King Joash is in charge of things, and he makes some really good decisions at the start, but like we've seen many other times in many other chapters, how you start isn't as important as how you end. And he does not end well. So again, we will look at the good things he did, then we will also go and look at where he failed, why that happened, and we'll point out some lessons for us along the way so that we can finish better. 2 Kings chapter 12 is where we are, and we're going to actually leave 2 Kings and go elsewhere to help fill out the story. So, a surprise for you if you come at 10 o'clock. Again, thank you for staying around for the AGM last weekend. Thank you for supporting things. Thank you for being part of things around here. That's really great. We are back to soup and sandwich lunches this week, which is great too. I like visiting with people. It's an easy way to hang out and visit, and it's a really good part of Sunday. So again, as I always say, please bring enough sandwiches for your family and everyone else. For another families, we can invite everyone to stay. I'm really excited about the lessons. I think they're going to be useful. I think you're going to benefit because I've benefited from them. We'll see you Sunday.